Hello and welcome back. How to make a scriptable graph something. Alright, so in this episode we'll be making the new nodes. Those episodes here right now, but in this episode we'll be making the new event node. And I will apologize right now that from this point onward, we will be destroying the entire process that you have up right now. So if you have already made a dialog system here that you want to save, I'm sorry, but we will be completely destroying it, rewriting it. So you'll probably not be able, you probably won't be able to save the text. So I'm sorry about that. But let's get into it. And the first one we want to open is the event node. Alright, so in here we want to actually make, I'm just gonna quickly look at my node. We actually want to make a top button to be able to actually make our new our new events. So let's actually go out and look here. Right now you can take a scriptable object that is called event and drag it in, and we'll call that event. Which is pretty nice. That means that we can make our own scriptable object events here. We can make them lots more complicated, but instead of, let's just say that I just want to color a person. It's kind of stupid that I have to make so many. Let's say I want to call 100 persons, people, like NPCs, something. That means I have to make 100 different of those. So instead, we're gonna make it so you can just call something called. We're gonna add the possibility to have a string in here, and then ID on the end. So you can go like money and then type in like 500. And that means they will just add 500 to your money, or you could call color NPC, and then add an ID, and the NPC that has that ID will then be colored. Again, when it is a string, and you're literally going to just add a string and a number, and then we are just telling the system what to do with that string and number afterwards. So let's get back into the code and add that. So first up, I'm just gonna copy paste the name just because I'm lazy. So first up, we are going to make a public void scriptable, add a scriptable event, and then we will have a public void add script event, and then we will have no, let's just write that one. Now, let's wait with that one. Alright, so those are the two things we will be having. But before we do that, actually let's add the possibility of adding them to the list. Add them to our stuff here. So we're gonna make a private void. We're gonna call top button. Yeah, let's just call it that. And there we want a tool menu bar. Just gonna call that menu. Oh, that's small. Equals new tool menu bar. And oh, why I'm writing it with big the text. So what are we gonna call it? We're gonna call it add event. All right. So inside the menu, we are going to add application action. And in here, we are first going to give it a name. So we're going to give it a name. And the first one is just called string ID. And it takes in two. It takes in the name and the action. So now we're going to make a action drop down menu action. That's a little bit of a mouthful. Then we are going to add a Lua expression in here. Oh. There we go. And then we're actually going to add the string event here. The string event, and remember its parameter. And I forgot to add a new action. Alright, so what did we exactly do here? Well, we went into the menu and inside we took the menu toolbar and told it's the menu that we want to apply an action to it, meaning meaning that we wanted to add action to the drop-down menu, and we are telling it if we want it in the form of a drop-down menu action, and we want it to be a string. So let's copy paste this one and add the scriptable object one, and let's just let's see. I'm just going to copy paste this over here. Called scriptable object, and we are going to add the. We want it to be in the title bottom. Let's see, where is it when we add it to the title? Let's check this one out. So if we add this one here, and we just need to throw it in right at the end. Just make space and click, and let's go into our dialog editor, and we should now be able to see a button somewhere. So you see we have this beautiful button now. If we click it, we can then now select those here. Of course, right now they don't do anything. So now we of course wanted to add something down here. So let's go and do that. We'll first be adding the visual part, and then afterwards be adding the functions to it. So we see we have the scriptable. Let's actually move those around, just because this is in the top. I guess it, in theory it don't really matter, but hey. All right, so let's start out with this one. I'm gonna quickly look at my notes. Should we create the content now? Let's just create the visual part first. So first up, we need a container of all objects. And here we're just gonna call box and call box container. Now this is actually part of the new visual element for Unity. So we're going to make a box, and inside this box we will be adding the two elements. The element we want is a text field, so we're gonna go text field. We're just gonna call it text field equals new text field. And to this text field, we are of course going to add. We're gonna call this one event text. Oh yeah, I forgot. We need to add to class. There we go. So we are adding this to the text field, so we can now go in and do the visual scripting part to it. Actually, let's add one for the box container as well. I actually think we do need that. Yeah, we need that. So let's go add that, and that is just event box. Yes. Alright, so let's see. Are there anything else we're supposed to do? Yeah, we of course need to add this to the box container. So we're gonna go box container. Oh. Box container dot add. And inside here, we're just gonna add the text field. So now this the text field has become a part of the box container. And we also need that to do that with the integer field. So we're gonna go integer field. Just gonna call that integer field equals new integer field. And we of course going again to add it's to the class, and we're gonna go let's just go int. We're gonna go event int. There we go. And we of course going to add that to the box container as well. The box container dot add, and add that inside. So here we go. All right, so they have been added into it now, as they should, as they should. And then we of course need a button to actually remove them. But before we do that, let's actually just add a small comment Text, the reason why I make those small ones here is simply just because I found it more readable when they are the green text. That's pretty much it for me. Why I'm doing that. Oh, that's horrible. All right, so now we need a remove button. So we're gonna go remove button. Oh no, this beautiful. Oh, I forgot the dots. All right, so we need a button, and we're just gonna call it TMP. That's the normal version for what do I call it? Um, why can't I remember the English word for that? That's the way you call it when it's short, when it's supposed to be shortened. Yeah, I think that's how. I'm sorry about that. I couldn't remember the English name for it. All right. So when we actually click on the button, what do we want it to do? Clickable. Oh no, that's not the one I want clicked. There we go. And we're of course going to use a lambda expression here to tell it that we want something to happen when we click it. And what do we actually want to happen when we click the button? Well, we actually want it to delete the box. So we are going to make a void called delete box. And funny enough, this one takes a box container. So take box container. And we will just go main container dot remove. Oh no. Dot remove box container. And we will simply just call that one in here. So box container. Because we are making the box container here, and we're then adding that to the button. So now it knows that it's supposed to do that. And we are of course also going to add a class to our button. And we're just gonna call that event button. And we're of course also going to add the button to the box container. So box container dot add button. And here lastly, we are going to say main container dot add box container. So box container, and at the end we of course wanted to refresh so we can actually see if it has been added. So we're going to call the refresh expression state, meaning it will refresh the visual part. All right, so let's go back into here and have it loaded in. All right, so now if we click here, we can see it's adding our beautiful box. But right now it's not really, this is not how really we want it to look. We would like to just be in one line. So let's go and do that by opening up our style sheet, node style sheet, and in node style sheet, I will quickly have to look at my notes. That is over here. Open up, thank you. All right. So this took me a lot longer than I expected to figure this one out, and I still didn't get it to look like I wanted it. But irritates me still. But we are going to call something called fix direction. You know what? I'm actually gonna just copy paste it over to make sure it's spelled correctly, because there are no spelling control in here. All right, and the width. I actually don't think we need the width. So we're telling everything inside the event box that should now be on a row, meaning sideways. So if we save that and go back in, we can now see it is on a row now. However, when you put it inside here, they subtly, are not that big. And that is of course a problem. So now we need to go back into the code. And what do we actually call the ID? So we need to go with the text. Oh. And go dot text. And let's find the int as well. Dot int. And let's go in and find the button. All right. Goody. So what should we be making in here? Well, I'm just gonna quickly copy paste over this one over, and this one here over. All right. So we are gonna set what is called a minimum width on the text and on the int. What does the minimum width do? Well, it says it cannot be smaller than the specific. And again, you can go in and set it to whatever you want. But the beautiful thing about setting a minimum is that I can show right now. So as you can see, if you just set it to be 100, it will not scale. But if you set it not to be a minimum, well, you can just, have it go wherever you wanted it to go. Now this can of course also be unpractical. So we can go back into the code. So let's go back into the code. So if you don't want it to be able to be bigger, just remove the minimum, go back in, and you can now see that it will no longer be bigger, but you cannot. You have to like scroll around in the text now. I prefer the minimum just because then you can see it all. Again, it's gonna be rather rare for you to actually have anything that's bigger than that anyway. At least I hope so. All right, so now that we have that, we need to add the other function here as well. So we are going back here, back to event node. And now we can actually copy much of this down to the other one. So we're just gonna copy it all and plug it in here. Now, we know that we don't need those here because those are the other types. So we're gonna delete those. Here we are going to add the scriptable object. Let me just quickly find it. Scriptable object, there you are. And the one we are going to add is of course the scriptable object event. And that is the type of object field. So we need object field. I'm just gonna call it, let's just call it object field. Oh, new object field. And in here, we want the object type be equals to type of, and we actually haven't made, no, we want it to be of dialog OS, don't we? Dialog event OS. And allow scene objects. We don't want it to take any of the scene objects. The reason why that is because, if you remove something from the scene, later on you will get billions of errors. So we don't want anything from the scene. We just want things from our asset folder. Then we of course have the value, and we don't have anything set up for the value at the moment. So we're just gonna set it to be null right now. I actually think this is about it for this one. Oh, we need to add it, of course. So we need to go box container dot add and add in object field. Then click save. And we should just be able to go back to Unity. Loading in. Remember, we haven't made any safe connections or anything like that now. So you can see now we can now make those. And those. Beautiful. Alright, so now we need to make the possibility of actually being able to save all those here we were making. And as you probably have noticed right now, something that irritated me quite a bit, that I haven't found out how to fix. is the fact that the crosses, the button here, I couldn't get it to stay over here, which has irritated me quite a lot, and I probably used an entire day just trying to find a solution. So for now, if anyone know how to fix the buttons to get them over here, feel free to add that down in the comments below, because I would really like to know. Because of right now, they're just gonna be where they are. So sorry about that. But alright, let's get back into the code. Oh yeah, we need to open up our dialog container now. We need to go down and make a new version to how to actually save our new version of the dialog node. So we are going to make a region. We're just gonna call event node and hashtag in region. The reason for that is then you can collapse it because we're gonna add some more stuff down here now. Well, first we want a new class called, and I might just need some reference, but I'm just gonna copy paste it all over. It's gonna save some time, and I'll just go quickly through it. Here we are, and let's just copy paste this as well. Plickety plockety, and I noticed that this one was wrong because it needs data at the end. And data, there we go, beautiful. All right, so what did I just copy over? Well, we have the public class called event string data. As you might have noticed, it contains a string and an ID. Just I need to be a little less trigger heavy on the save. As you can see, it contains a string and an int. So we need to find a way to save the string and the int. And we did that here. And we of course need to save the dialog editor. The dialog scriptable object event. Wow, that is one hell of a name. For some reason, I couldn't get it to just save this one here. I had to make a box to save the data inside, or else it wouldn't, it just wouldn't work. I have no idea why, but it just wouldn't. Alright, so now that we have those two here, that means we can actually start saving the data. Alrighty, so let's go back to our event node and go all the way up in the top. And I'm just gonna scroll the way up the top here as well. And I'm just gonna copy paste again because they're ridiculous long. Alright, I forgot I renamed that one. Ah! Alright, so data, and data, and data. Alright, okie dokie. Alright, so we need to call it, we need to have a list of the dialog scriptable objects and the event string data. So we need to load this in. Alright. And we of course need to have properties of them. So we are going to add property fields for them as well. So we can get them in order. And soon those here will actually be signed out because we don't really need them soon. But for now, just leave them be, or else we will get a trillion errors. So now we need to actually roll down to add our scriptable events. So let me just roll down to it as well there. This is going well. All right. Yeah, in my notes, and I just copy paste this in. So what did I just copy paste in? Well, I copy paste in the event string ID data, and I called it parameter event string data. And the reason why I'm calling those ridiculous long names is because then you can actually read what it is. So normally you won't take those names, but because this is a tutorial, I want it to be as readable as possible. And then we set it to be equals null. What does that mean? Well, that means that, well, that the data will be, that we can call this one without giving it this parameter. So as you can see up here, if we remove this one here, that means that we have to give it by saying that we can call it. However, it would just be null. Then, whenever we call this one, it will just add the parameter where it is null. So next up, we actually need to make this. I'm just gonna copy paste again. I just copy paste all of it. Entire block here. All right. So what did I just copy paste then? All right. I took the dialog script ID data and I called it TMP for temporary, and we set that to be a new version. And then we will check the parameter event string ID data if it is null. If it is not null, we will then load that data into this data, into the temporary one, and we will add that temporary one to our list in the top. Now, why wouldn't we just add this one instead into the list if it's not null? Well, that's because that we actually want, because if we didn't do that, that meant we will be editing the scriptable object itself. Meaning, the good thing about that will be that we don't have to click the save button. The bad thing about it is that we will be editing the scriptable object no matter if we save or not. Meaning that if you fuck something up, well, it is saved instantly when you click it in. And since we already made a save load function, well, I guess we're just going to continue with the fact that we want it to be able to be saved and load without consequences. That is my guess on this one here. All right, so now we need to go into the text and actually add that text callback. I'm just gonna copy paste it again. All right. So, this needs to be big. When we change the variable from the graph view, well, we are gonna call the text field and register value change callback, meaning when we change the value. So value. So when actually I think this is supposed to be called event actually. Never mind. So we take this new value and set it to the string's new value. And after that, we set it to set value without notification. Actually, not entirely sure what this does. I just know it changes the value field inside the, what's it called? Inside the graph view as well. So you can see it has been updated, plus it has been saved. So, that's something. So that means just that it knows that this has been changed. So, yeah, I'm not really sure what else to say about that. And we of course want the absolute same thing to happen when we are changing the number. So I'm just gonna copy paste the number part in. So when we are changing the value from, and the exact same thing, instead we're just doing it with an int now. So not really that important. Not that important, it's pretty important to know. So when we change the number, it sets the number. Alright, so however, now it actually starts to be a little more complicated because now we actually also need to remove the because we added the event string ID data. You can see up here, we added that into our list right here. However, if we remove it, we also need to remove that from the list itself. So when we click remove, we're also removing that from the list because everything that is in the list up here is the things we are going to save when we click save. So we, of course, when we remove it, we want it to be removed. I hope that makes sense. And we actually forgot a thing in the delete button. So in delete button, we want reference expression status as well. That means that when we remove something, it will refresh the graph view on that node. It did seem to work right now, but sometimes if you don't have this one here, it will not refresh. And it's a little confusing when it doesn't do it. So no, just be on the safe side and have the refresh button. Now we of course also need it to have the same thing for the scriptable object. So let me just find that. And we have this entire blob here. Gonna plop it in. And we have a trillion arrows. That's wonderful. Don't think about that. Let me just fix some of those arrows here. Sorry about that, you can't see it, but I'm just gonna fix it in my node as well. And copy paste it over in a second. I'm sorry. There we go. Pluck. And we need the parameter as well. Plop. Oh. Did it work? I think I copy pasted somewhere else. There we go. Alright, so what did I do? Well, first we added the parameter up here. That is the event scriptable object data, which is this beautiful thing here that we have a list of now that contains a bunch of dialog event scriptable objects. So we have the parameter. We then ask, is the parameter null? If not the parameter, well, we want to transfer the dialog event over into the other one here, and we want to add that to our list in the top, so we know it's supposed to be saved. All right. So when we change the object field here, which I of course haven't named object field over here, so let me just copy that over. For that did not destroy everything. So let me just quickly rename that. There we go. That means we can just copy paste this entire thing over now. And there we go. Alright, so what exactly did I just do? Well, I added the exact same callback here again. So when we change the value from GraphView, so when we change the value inside object field dot register value callback, we go into the value here. What exactly? Am I doing something wrong here? No, I am not. Interesting. Oh, yeah. Alright, I forgot. Wait, can you just do value instead? Dot new value. Oh, I guess you learn something every day. Alright, so I guess we're gonna do this instead. And we take the value, and we of course take a new value, and we're telling it, because it is a object field, we need to tell it what type of object it is. It is a dialog event OS, and we're of course going to save that into dialog OS. And after that, we are going to set value without notification, and we add the style sheet here. Should we move that a little up? I don't know, how did we do with the other ones? Let's see. We actually added that. Let's actually add that under here as well, because that is what we did with all the other ones, right? Yeah, we're just gonna continue the same trend. So, we add the class, we add... Did I actually call it scriptable objects in my... I don't think it did I? It's always nice to confuse yourself, right? Oh, we haven't actually added it in here. Oh my. So I guess we're just gonna plug that in here. Let me just quick look at my other note on my other screen. Box ID. There we go. So we're gonna go dot scriptable objects. Save. And go back. Actually save. Let's quickly look how it actually looks out in the dialog. Oh, we have a scriptable. See where it is. It's when we add style sheet. Ah, yeah. Sometimes it will say an error. All you have to do is just close this one down and open it up again, I think. Yeah. Some reason when you're changing too much in the style sheet, sometimes it will be angry and just say no. I don't know why it does that, but alright. This seems to be big enough, and we can just add and it will automatically scale. So that's fine. So we don't need to do too much styling with that. Of course, we need to start moving those around soon. Right, so let's go back into the code. This is gonna be a rather long video. All right. So let me just quickly have a think. All right. So now we have actually made all of the fields here. So now we can actually start saving it. So now we need to go into save. So let's go in here. Find save. Where are you? Save, 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 save. There we go. Alright, so in here, where we save the dialog editor, dialog, no, not dialog editor, the dialog event, where we have dialog event, dialog event, dialog event, dialog, oh, did I roll past it? Dialog event, here we go. Alright, so now we need to go. What do we actually call it? Just drag this one over here for now quickly. And the dialog OS. So quickly drag that one over here. We call it event equals underscore node dot, and why is that angry? Oh, there we go. And equals node dot and dot. And I can see we forgot to also remove all the dots in here, all the underscores. I went on a crazy tangent, and that I thought that all the underscores needed to be everywhere, and I later realized no, they should not, because it just confuses people who are normally used to underscores in front of private fields. So you know, when it is a coding standard for some people, and you start changing it up, it just becomes a mess for people to figure out what the hell you're doing. So we are just gonna remove all of those. Yeah, here as well. And here as well. Yeah, I think that's about it. But let's go back to our event node here. Alright, so we now added the event scriptable object data, and we can actually remove this one here from the save file because we are going to remove it soon. So we're gonna click save. And now we need to find the load function. So let's roll down. Where do we have load? Are those load here? Are we in the load? Yes, we are load. And event, there we go. So we can actually also remove this one. And let me just find my notes over here. Da, 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 da. So that we have save. Need to find load. And, copy paste, no time to waste. And why are you not happy? Dialog event scriptable objects. There we go. Alright. So what are we doing here? Well, we are going to into for each, where we go through every dialog scriptable objects, and we're just gonna call it item because I guess item is fine. And we are going into the node and finding all the scriptable objects in it, and then we will add that. So we simply go into our dialog node, and then we will call the add scriptable objects event, and that is of course this one over here we made. Oh no, that's the one down here. And as you can see, this time we are giving it the scriptable object data. So by giving it this time here, we will actually load that data into the field we are making. So it will get the data. And we of course already made the save function up here. Here where we save the entire list into the list. Alright, so we can just save this up. And actually I think we don't need this button over here more. I'm just gonna clog it together here so we can actually take, oh no, not this one button, but this one up here, as you can see, we have the old object field here. We can just remove that and roll up to the top. Remove this one as well, and this one as well. And let's save and see. Oh, that does seems to be. Oh, this one doesn't need any more. Save. And it does seems like there are no errors. Beautiful. So let's save this and go back and let it load. And you can see right now there of course isn't any, and then you can just add in something here. So let's just add something in and call it Yemen and like 1, 2, 3. Around a little and click save and click load. Of course, the version that's going to be loaded in is, of course, if you go like this here and click save and load it in, it will automatically put all of them in line. Because that is the way it's loading in. And of course, it doesn't really matter which way they come in. It's just gonna call all of them. So let's just remove those and save and load. Oh, well, that's not good. So those one here, it did not remove. Interesting. So save and load. So there's definitely an error there. So let's just try this one here and remove that one. Save, load. All right, so we have an error here. Let's go into our code. And that is in the scriptable objects. Maybe it was a little too fast copy pasting of code with it. All right, so we remove. Yeah. We forgot this part down here. Probably some of you were screaming at the screen, you forgot it. Well, if you did that, you deserve a cookie. So, let me just quickly look at my note on how we're supposed to do this. Oh, that's really easy. We need to just go up here and find the scriptable objects, copy paste it, and go all the way down, plug it in, dot remove. And of the things we want to remove is, of course, the temporary. So we're gonna add in the temporary and click save. Go. Oh, actually, now we are here. We can go into our content here, this one here, and actually remove this one as well, because that is no longer needed. Let's save and go back in here, and we get errors. That is wonderful. So where are we getting an error? Oh yeah, I forgot. Now that we are talking, it's trying to load this one in. So let's just clock that out for now and save. And let's have a look. And remove, and save, load. Beautiful. So now we can add stuff in here, going I'm sorry, my headset went out of power for a second, and we go here as well. NPC color, save. Actually, we opened up for the string in here, where we check if it has anything, and then it will try to run it. We can actually just go for each, and then uncomment this one here. Oh, let's actually do the for each, and just copy paste this one in here, and go dialog node dot scriptable objects, go item and item, and remove this part here. There we actually kind of fixed it for the other version. So it should work for the other version now, this one here. However, the only thing that's working are the scriptable objects, of course. So scriptable objects will work now, and you can add multiple events to the same one. I actually think this should work. So let's see, we have player and NPC. Let's remove that one up here and click save. So if we decide to go color NPC, it should color both now. So let's have a look. I want to color NPC, yes. It's now coloring both because we told it to color both. Wonderful. And of course, later on, I will show you how I intend to actually use that when we are making our example scene too. But that is it for the new event. Another event class, so event node. So we can now add as many events here as we want, making it a lot easier instead of having a trillion events after each other if you want that. The next one we will be looking at is the branch node, and just so you get a little idea what it can be, I actually kind of finished it already here on the screen. I can just drag it in, as you can see here. The color, don't think about the color thing, it's just me mopping about. You can see like if we have over 100 money, you know, it's true, or if Yemen is 1, well then it's true or false. That's my idea, and you can see I have also been playing around over here by having 2 images, so you can, you know, have both images at the same page here, and also, you know, I've been playing around a little, trying to get it as I want, but I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing with the visual element. I'm literally just hammering my head against the keyboard and hoping I'm making something work and looking at the internet. But you know, that is normally game development when you're trying something new. Yeah, alright. I think this video is long enough, so thank you for watching, and see you next time. If I could find the stop button.